I find it fascinating that after the drama of Exodus, after Mount Sinai with the thunder and lightning and all the commandments, and then with the mishpatim, with the laws, suddenly we're given measurements. Fabrics, metals, woods, clasps and loops and rings, an entire Torah portion that reads like an architectural blueprint. The Torah, which can be breathtakingly concise when it wants to be, now lingers over texture and color and weight and proportion. I believe that Parashat Terumah is the Torah's meditation on beauty. Ve'asu li mikdash ve'shachanti betocham, it says. Let them make me a sanctuary, and I will dwell among them. It doesn't say dwell in it. It will dwell among them. God does not require real estate. The infinite does not need square footage, but we do. We need spaces that help us become aware of what is already true, that holiness is possible and that presence can be cultivated, that community can hold something larger than itself. What strikes me is that the Torah does not say, build something efficient, build something practical that gets the job done. No, it says build something that is beautiful. The Torah is not embarrassed by beauty. It actually insists on it. Sacred space, it teaches us, is made of attention, of care, of human hands offering their gifts in response to a stirring of the heart. Skilled artisans filled with chokhmat lev, of wisdom of the heart. Judaism has always had a complicated relationship with aesthetics. We are heirs to a fierce suspicion of images. Our history is marked by a relentless critique of idolatry, of confusing the object with the source, the symbol with the divine, with capital D. We learned, often painfully, that beauty disconnected from moral truth can become seduction, power, and even cruelty. Empires built monuments and called them eternal. And Judaism answered, do not bow to stone. In our contemporary culture, we also receive conflicting messages about beauty. On one hand, everything is curated, filtered. Aesthetics has become currency. On the other hand, many of us carry an instinct, especially in religious life, to downplay appearances. Don't worry about how it looks, we say. It's what inside what counts. And of course, that is true. Judaism is not interested in superficiality. But Parashat Terumah reminds us that interiority and exteriority are not enemies. The inner life seeks outer expression. The soul needs a vessel. The halachic tradition gives us a name for it, chidur mitzvah, the beautification of the commandment. The Talmud derives it from the verse, Ze Eli ve'anvehu, this is my God, and I will glorify him, and reads it to mean, perform the commandments in a beautiful way. Build a beautiful sukkah, have a beautiful etrog, have a beautiful Torah scroll, or a talit, or kiddush cup, or tefillin, or your Shabbat candelabra. Beauty in Judaism is pedagogical. It teaches the heart to recognize that something matters. We are saying, this moment is not ordinary. This space is not neutral. This act carries dignity. Beauty becomes a language of kavod, of honoring the mitzvah, honoring the community, and honoring the divine image in one another. A building speaks. Long before a rabbi speaks or the congregation sings the prayers, a space has already offered its first sermon. The light in the room, the warmth or chill of the materials, the accessibility of the entrance, the way the sound travels, the care, evident or not evident in its upkeep. All of it communicates. It whispers to the person walking in for the first time, is this the place that is alive? Is this a place that expects me? Is this a place where I might belong? Our community is beautiful. There is warmth here, and there's Torah, and there's kindness. There are people who show up weekly or show up for one another in times of grief or in times of celebration. There is life and camaraderie in our social hall and energy in our prayer services. The tabernacle, the Mishkan, was built from the gifts of the heart, and so is every synagogue worth its name. And yet, we need to be honest about something else. Sometimes the container lags behind the content. Our synagogue was built in a different era, with a different architectural language, with different assumptions about what sacred space should feel like. There is a certain starkness, even a severity, to the style of the 1970s, a kind of brutalist honesty that once signaled strength and permanence. But generations change. Aesthetic sensibilities shift. What once felt modern can now feel intimidating. I have heard gently and respectfully from younger families, from those searching for a venue for their simchas, their celebrations, that our sanctuary can feel cold, not in spirit, but in atmosphere. Beautiful souls housed in a space that does not yet reflect their vibrancy. And this is not criticism, it is an invitation. Because the Torah teaches that sacred space is not static. The tabernacle itself was portable. It moved with the people. Later, it became the temple. Then synagogues in Babylon, in Spain, in Poland, in America, each shaped by its time and place. Jewish space has always evolved, not to chase fashion, but to remain alive, to ensure that the outer form continues to serve the inner life. There is also the matter of accessibility. A sanctuary that is difficult to navigate, even for those fully able-bodied, unintentionally teaches something about who is expected and who is not. A mikdash must be a place where the divine can dwell among them, all of them. If our physical space creates barriers, even subtle ones, then part of our spiritual work is to remove them. Sometime, very soon, as our neighbors, the Jewish Community Day School, will begin to use some of our space, and as we pray and plan for continued growth, we may well find ourselves needing both our small chapel and our sanctuary filled with life. What an extraordinary blessing that would be. But blessings require preparation. I am not speaking of extravagance. Judaism distinguishes between luxury and dignity, between vanity and kavod. The Mishkan was not built to show off. It was built to hold holiness. There is a difference between patching something so it limps along for a few more years and reimagining it so that it breathes again, aligning the beauty of our values with the beauty of our environment. If we want younger generations to experience Judaism as compelling, as meaningful, as radiant, then the spaces in which they pray, they celebrate, and learn must participate in that radiance. Not because Judaism depends on architecture, but because human beings do. We are shaped by light and color and proportion. Those who built our sanctuary and our building did so with deep intention and love. And just as they shaped a space for their generation, we are called to shape one that speaks to ours. Terumah begins with a simple but radical instruction. Take for me an offering from every person whose heart moves them. The Mishkan was not funded by obligation alone, but by generosity stirred from within. Before a single beam was set in place, an idea was planted in the people's imagination. We can build something worthy of the presence that dwells among us. That is where all sacred construction begins. More than with blueprints, it all starts with a vision. So I offer this not as a campaign, not as a pressure, but as a seed to imagine what it would mean for our physical home to reflect the warmth we already feel, to consider how light, accessibility, and thoughtful design might deepen prayer, elevate simchas, and welcome those still standing at the threshold, to ask ourselves, gently and honestly, if we were building today for the generations to come, what would we want them to inherit? Ve'asu li mikdash, ve'shachanti betocham. Let them make me a sanctuary, and I will dwell among them. May we continue to build a community beautiful in its Torah and its kindness. And may we also have the courage, the creativity, and when the time comes, the generosity to shape a space that mirrors who we are and who we are becoming.